Oh, 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 oh. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. My name is Sean Matthew Brown, and I am the Urban Disruptor, and this is Urban Disruptors Weekly Wrap Up. This is a Sunday morning show where we go over local news and politics and figure out what is going on in our neighborhoods and community, our city, our region, our state, our nation, and what impact does that have on our lives. Thank you for tuning in this morning. Please share this. Say hello in the chat box. Tell your friends, tell your family that Sean Brown, the Urban Disruptor, is live this Sunday morning. I'm going to share this so that you and our friends can see this too. This morning on this journey for the show, I hope that I say something that I hope I can share something that you learn from. I hope I tell a story that you find entertaining. I hope that you are healthy and well and ready to get involved on a deeper level. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope that we have a great time. Drop your questions, put your questions or comments in. Our guest this morning is Stephen Rodas, a reporter with TapInto. I was supposed to have him on last week, but I got him this week. So it's definitely, the year is definitely starting with Meet the Press in a way. You know what I mean? Because people in the media. So I'm going to share this. I ask that you do the same. Tell your friends, tell your family to watch so that people know what is going on. Thank you for hanging out with me, and let us figure some things out. So, like I said, share the video, tell your friends. We're going to get started in a minute with all the information. How are your New Year's resolutions going so far this year? Are you accomplishing everything that you set out to accomplish? Are you checking the boxes that you want to check? You having a good time with everything? People being nice to you? What is going on? All right. I'm just filling up some time as my audience builds, and we are going to get into it. So here we go. There's a lot going on. So I guess I can start with I'll start with the most obvious story, which is what happened at the United States Capitol earlier this week. As you know, on January 6th, when there is a ceremonial process of counting the Electoral College votes, this is something that normally goes on without incident. This year there was an incident. Donald Trump, for a few weeks, had been inviting people to the U.S. Capitol for a anti-electoral college voting rally. He put it on Twitter. And a lot of people came. People flew. I mean, these were police officers, former military people that came there. It's actually one of the things that I see in the reports that's disturbing is just how poorly the Capitol Police handled the situation. The chief of the Capitol Police resigned. Reports are that he resigned. He should have, but these officers that were complicit should face the same criminal penalties, if not worse, than those people that came with weapons and zip ties and all sorts of things that cause great harm to the people in the community. The people at the Capitol. I wish I could say that I was astonished, but if you follow this show and watch it, then you know that for the last few months I've been telling people to legally get a gun, learn how to use it properly, protect you exercise your constitutional right to protect yourself and your family. I'm not one of those people that say that nobody should have a gun. I think if bad guys have guns, then good guys should have guns too. Just go through the legal process to get it. But this was predicted. I actually thought it might be more like this right after the election, but it turns out it was the day of county electoral college. This will continue, whether Trump is president or not, whether he's impeached or not. This violence, this white supremacy inspired insurrection will continue in multiple ways, and not just on the national level in Washington, D.C., but I think we need to see how it pokes its ugly head right here in our own community. All right, so now I'm going to get into some specific, more local news about some things that are going on. In no particular order, there's a report in WHYY. There's a report in WHYY that it says Camden sees lowest crime level in more than 50 years. Here, I'll do a screen share here so you can see it for yourself. Crime is down for the first time in a long time. This says, let's do the application window. Okay, and there's the, all right, oops, there we go. Candidacy's lowest crime level in more than 50 years. This is reported in WHYY. So there were 2,796 criminal activity reports compared to 3,200 in 2019. Homicides and shootings were down. I know that we cannot do anything without working in concert with our community. It will continue to be imperative for us to be partners with our residents and institutions in the city, says the new chief, Gabriel Rodriguez. Camden mayor says he looks forward to working with Rodriguez to build upon community policing efforts. Look, I think that when they say this, I think when they say this stuff, they're saying what they think they're supposed to say. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Number one, our city and the entire nation was in a lockdown in March, April, and May. So if the crime was at the same level, then I mean that would be a fundamentally strange problem. So of course crime was lower in 2020 than it was in 2019. A lot of folks were just in the house. I mean that's what happens during a pandemic. I do at the same time think these headlines are important because the perception in Camden is that Camden is a place that's too dangerous to start a business. The perception is this is a place that's too dangerous to live or even visit. I hear this from people in the suburbs all the time. This isn't limited to white folks that are easily scared. This is all type of ethnicities. These are including people who grew up in Camden, moved, and don't want to come back and don't look back at this city. So when we see these headlines, we should celebrate it, but at the same time recognize that this city still has an unaddressed issue with drug addiction, and that fuels a drug trade market with open air drug markets, which leads to gang activity and all sorts of violence. It creates an underground economy. There are all sorts of issues that are associated with drug addiction. Until we as a community get a grip on drug addiction, I don't know how much of a grip we'll have on crime. Community policing matters, but it is our elected officials, appointed officials, and institutions that have to set the policy for how we deal with addiction in our community. That's too big of a task for individuals to do themselves. All right, next big story. The next story is, so this is not a Camden story, but I think that there are two things that happened this week that didn't really happen in Camden, but I think are still big enough stories. So a young lady was lured online on a district issued laptop, and she ended up meeting with this older guy, a grown man. They spent a few days together. There was this like national search for her and the guy. They ended up finding them. But the family sued the district. Now, a few things. Does the school district have responsibility to monitor certain things on a district issued tablet or device? Yes. And I have got feedback from my own children about things that happen online. We as parents, though, we must be vigilant and aware of the applications our children use, the websites that they visit. you can look at the history. I'm almost scared to do it on this computer because I don't know what people looked at before I was on this computer. But there are very easy ways that you can look at the web search history, the history of websites visited. You can do the same thing on YouTube. My children watch YouTube on their account. So even if from my phone, even if I'm 200 miles away, all I have to do is go to YouTube, switch from my account to their account, click history, and I see the whole history of videos that they've watched, right? And one or two times I've seen them watch something I would consider to be inappropriate for their age, but I also noticed that they only watched the first few seconds of it. So I could tell that, they watched 15, 20 seconds of this, heard something that they didn't like, made them uncomfortable, and they stopped, which is what I want to see. I don't want to see you watching something inappropriate for an entire hour. We have, as parents, as people who love children, we have to take internet safety seriously. Young people and all of us should know how to do research on the internet, how to properly use the internet for information gathering, but also how to be safe, protect passwords, PIN numbers, logging off of computers that aren't yours, things like that. I hope this young lady is recovering and doing well, and I hope that man was punished for his crime. All right, next. New Jersey returns local control to Patterson schools after 30 years. So just hear this first paragraph. New Jersey was the first state to take over a district, stripping the Jersey City School Board of its powers in 1989. It then took control of Patterson in 91, Newark in 95, and Camden in 2013. All districts primarily serve communities of color. So the state left Jersey City, the state left Newark a few years ago, and now Camden, as you can see here in this last paragraph, Camden is the only district still under full state control. Speaking of Camden being the only district under full state control, there is, I don't know, I think the timing of this is pretty good, because when the district is under full state control, that means in a district where 90% of the money comes from the state. So you look at how much money goes to city government and how much money goes to the district schools, which pays for all district schools, all Renaissance and all charter. As taxpayers, whether you are a homeowner, a renter, a business owner in the city of Camden, we do not contribute enough in taxes to cover the full expense of how much money it costs to run this city. We're a city of 80,000 people. There are over 30 schools. We have a police department, a fire department. Well, we don't have a police department, but we pay for a police department for the county. Public works. There are government institutions that have very specific and important roles to play in what goes on in our community. In us not putting all the money in, or even not most of the money in, the state will always have say in what happens here in the city. There's a state monitor that works with the mayor and council and city government. There's a state appointed superintendent in Camden and state appointed officials that work in the central office, the business administrator, the fiscal monitor, appointed by Department of Education officials. If anybody wants to look at Superintendent Katrina McCombs and point fingers at her and say, "Oh, don't close any schools, figure it out with more money," I'm not sure if I don't know if I see what that pathway is. And I don't think the state government does either. So as you see that, and by the way, there's a place to get this information. So right now you can see the district website, which is camden.k12.nj.us. And if you come over here to community and click the first link, comprehensive long-term school planning, and then look at, here's the homepage for that. There's a lot of information on here when there was just a meeting on this. But if you go all the way down, so facts, FAQs, frequently asked questions, that'll answer some of your questions. But here, the last link, additional resources, and you can get to that from here as well. This is all the data. Forecast. How many students can we predict to have in the district? Maps and tables, public-based map. All the information is here that informs folks of what's going on, the presentation that was given. A lot of information here. I would argue maybe it's too much information. for some people to handle if you're not used to looking at these types of things. But there is, so for example, right here, you can see that the biggest concentration of students in Camden is in East Camden, many of them being bilingual students. So there's a lot of data and information for anybody that's interested. The case for keeping all schools open and eliminating any disruption from the district is just unrealistic. It shouldn't be the priority, especially when you see student performance being what it is in the city. That's just my take. Okay. Hey, I see our guest is there. I'm going to bring you on in a minute. He got his background ready. Speaking of our guest, our next article by Stephen Rodas, Camden Fire Department battles 3 blazes in one day. I'm bringing this issue up specifically because, unfortunately, a man passed away. He was in his 80s and was stuck in a house. Please make sure that your batteries are in your smoke detector. If you hear it beeping, change it. Have a fire safety plan for leaving. Don't leave flames unattended. It could be a candle, and if you have a cat, and cats and candles don't mix. So remember things like that. Fires are real and they're dangerous, and people die. And I don't want to see that happen to anybody else. So be careful. All right. I'm going to stop sharing. Stephen, I'm almost ready for you. You'll be on in a moment. Good morning to my audience that is watching. So before I bring our guest on, I want to bring something up to share with you. There's so much that goes on in Camden on a regular basis. When I was a younger man in Camden, so I'm going back 20 years ago, which is actually kind of hard to believe. That's how long ago it was. 20 years ago, when I went to my first council meetings, there were always 3 reporters at every meeting. Every meeting I went to, there were several reporters, and those several reporters covered every single council meeting. And if there's a bigger story, there might be five reporters there. People like Dwight Ott from the Philadelphia Inquirer, Alan Gunther from the Courier Post. As time moved on, there was less and less coverage. And I don't know where it came out of, but starting with George, TapInto came to Camden, and starting about a year ago, he'll tell us how long ago. Our guest, who's here for the second time. Good morning, Stephen. Good morning. Out so many stories on a regular basis, as you can see here on the website. Economic development, the fire, new mural, the vaccine. It's like every hard hitting issue. Steve, who got elected in positions in our government. Every issue Stephen is covering. And as we prepare for there's one particular story I want to pull up. But as we prepare for 2021, I want to make sure that Stephen has a chance to greet all of us and share what's on his mind. So good morning, Stephen Rodas. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me, Sean. Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year to you. Feliz
Año Nuevo.
What is it?
Feliz Año Nuevo.
Yeah. I always want to say cumpleaños, and then but that's not the right one.
Yeah.
I'm looking for. Oh, here it is. So Stephen, I want to start with first. Thank you for not only covering the city, but also doing a good job of being accurate, being objective in how you do it. That is appreciated. I've definitely seen people that didn't check all those boxes, as I told you the first day I met you. So it is good to have you, and it's good in your second time guest, which is very rare. So congratulations on that too.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, if you count our brief interview for the elections, I guess it's my 3rd appearance.
Ooh, you're right. Oh, okay. Yep, you are breaking a record.
And yeah, last week on Wednesday, so January 6th, I made my official 1 year anniversary with TapInto.
Do you know what the 6th is? It was Steven's anniversary. It was Steven's anniversary. It's an old R&B song from the 80s, Steven.
Oh, I know.
Oh, okay. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been I want to say it's felt like it's gone fast, but also at the same time it's felt like it's gone really slow. It's like both happening at the same time somehow. But it's been great to get to know a lot of people in Camden, and job wise it's been very satisfying to sort of have Camden, New Jersey as a beat, because there's just so many interesting things always happening. So yeah, it's been great.
Right. There's I definitely remember an era where there was a lot of interesting things going on, and we just didn't have a lot of coverage of those things. And as I'm sure you know, politicians in particular, I love them dearly, but certain folks they'll do whatever they can to hold on to power if they don't think anybody's paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, and while I appreciate the praise, like, it's not to say that there aren't things that slip through the cracks. There's definitely things throughout 2020 that I didn't get to, and that didn't get any coverage. So there's always room for growth. There's always people. There's always stories that just don't get the right attention. So yeah, I mean, I always try to look at it through that lens too. That there's still plenty to do. Absolutely.
All right, so let's get into it. So one of your stories is a preview into 2021, 6 education stories to watch in 2021. Here you talk about number 1, COVID-19. When will schools reopen? The laptops, the issues covered with that. The prospect of building closures, which I was just talking about. You have information here on that. The 3 seats up on the school board. We just saw, as you write, Wasim Muhammad, Karen Merrick's, and Clayton Gonzalez took the oath the other day. There'll be more people filling the seat. There'll be somebody filling the seat. The new Camden High School, academic success in the face of many obstacles. Very, very, very important. Glad you wrote about that. The numbers, and renaming of Woodrow Wilson High School. So great story. I'm gonna stop my screen share for a moment. So how do you come up with these stories and all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to how I approach the job, if you want to sort of frame it like that, I always try to stay a week ahead. I always try to juggle multiple plates per se when it comes to knowing what's happening the following month, but also knowing that I have enough sort of copy already drafted so that I can run out and cover something if I have to, so that if someone calls me or someone reaches out, I can respond right away, versus feeling like I have to scramble and I have to get something up sooner so then I could do that. So that's I would say the most sort of adrenaline rushing way to get stories, which is like in the moment. There's obviously lots of ways that people reach out. I saw your show last week, so Phaedra mentioned some of the ways. So press releases, obviously is like the most common way that people from the city, from the county, from organizations reach out and provide their sort of version of like, this is what happened, this is what should get attention, and not only that, but this is how it should get attention. So always try to be careful about taking press releases and treating them too much like what's there is sacred and it should be exactly how it is. There's meetings that happen consistently that you already know of, where, obviously city council, board of education, planning board, zoning board. There are meetings that you sort of can have on your calendar ahead of time, and then there are meetings that come up. Last week there was the Connect the Lots is a meeting about the mural in Kramer Hill. Vidra Chandler from Cooper's Ferry, who I know you've had on before, she reached out prior to that meeting. So I added that to my calendar. That was like a week ahead or 2 weeks ahead. So there are meetings that come up. There are newsletters that are also consistent. There's the District Council Collaborative Board. There's Parkside Business and Community in Partnership. They put them out consistently. And so, signing up to those, signing up to, Facebook groups, looking on Facebook, looking up Camden, just all the time, just looking up Camden, New Jersey or Camden and seeing what pops up, because that always is updated. So things are put on my radar like that too. And then just sort of curiosity. That's one way that I get stories and keep myself on my own toes. I was driving by where I knew Rutgers Field, although the name hasn't been made official, but the field that would be built where Campbell's Field is going to be. What was. So a new facility, a new sports facility is going to be built there. And I wrote about that before, but recently driving by, I saw there was some activity. There was some construction sort of activity happening. So I immediately reached out to the county. And even though I've put out some of those looking ahead 2021 stories already, I put out a few looking back at 2022, 2020 as well. I do have a few others coming up. So one is dealing with sort of development and construction. So Rutgers Field is going to come up there. And there's a few others that I'm sort of working on as well. But that I would say in a nutshell is how I go about it.
Yeah, just those articles are helpful, not only for the day they're published, but there's several articles of yours that I have bookmarked and that I'll reference or I'll link to send other people if they're interested in doing certain things, because maybe they don't see it just through a simple Google search or Bing, if for some strange reason they use Bing. But so I'm really glad you're doing that, and I hope that anyone watching that can be a source or give some tips does so. A question for you, and I like your style, but my question for you is, the 2021 election is coming up in Camden. You had done profiles of candidates in the past, including for the school board candidates. You did profiles on I think all of them. Yeah, all of them. Yeah, you did all 7 people that were running, because I read it and talked about it on the show. How can you, though, beyond just biographies and quotes, how can you address the weird power dynamic situation that we have here in Camden as a journalist?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's besides the 3 school board seats that you mentioned, there's the 3 council seats. The mayor as well. That in regard to his term, from what I know, is also ending in 2021. So yeah, when we first talked, it was very much, I'm immersing myself, I'm getting to know the community, I'm getting to know the beat, I'm getting to build relationships and sort of figure out what the job is. And, fast forward, it's a year now. So, it's time for the context. It's time to work a little harder to get some of the context, to give stories the appropriate amount of roundness, so that when people read them, they don't just get this is a profile and this is the history of this person's life. While that's important, I think, I totally agree that 2021, if someone's covering the election, it's important to, talk to multiple people. And a lot of them may be folks that just want to speak on background in regard to what they know about Camden's political history, and making sure that, when these stories come up, it's something that people can walk away feeling like they got a balanced sense of where things stand and how, Camden, New Jersey has evolved politically, but where it is now and what the story is going into the end of 2021.
Okay. Earlier you talked about all the meetings and things that you do. Is this somewhat of a technical question, but is this just having a really good calendar? Is there an app that you use? Do you rely on press releases? How do you keep track of what you're going to cover from day to day, from week to week?
Yeah, so I tried to use a planner a few years ago. I'm just not a planner kind of guy, not judging people who are, but I very much thrive in the chaoticness. So I just have my notes on my iPhone, and on my computer is a hodgepodge of this is all the things that are happening this week. And then sometimes I throw links into my own stories. Sometimes I throw links into a story from a different outlet, or a community member, whether they put up like a Facebook post about something, or I have something in my email inbox. So I very much just, have this long running list of stories and ideas and people that, I am always trying to either revisit, or if I know a meeting's coming up that is related to whatever that topic or issue or person is, that I know I'm covering it. So I don't really have like a, light bulb that goes off, or like a calendar, blinker that comes on. I just sort of know from the fact that one example, looking ahead, every Friday I email myself the 5 things that I'm covering for the following week, the 5 big things. And then throughout the week, there are, little things that come up that I'm always, trying to jump on and get coverage on as well, even if it's a news brief, just get something up about it. So yeah, that's how I go about it.
Okay. And I saw that, I'm looking for it here in your homes. Maybe this is where that you have 1 million views this year.
Yeah, so TapInto Camden, for the first time, and I mean we've been here since 2018, so it hasn't been that long, but for the first time reached, surpassed 1 million views, which was great. Very fulfilling for me. I know, and speaking with some of my TapInto colleagues, some of them also reach those figures. It's just a great sense of relief that we know that folks can access our site for things that are very small, in the context of how it impacts the state as a whole, whether it's like hyper local news, which is what I'm always trying to get up, but also there are a few things that impact them on the state side. So I know we spoke about the governor press conferences. What's funny, one of the things you had asked last time we spoke was, have you been to the conference personally? Yeah, at that point, I had only covered them virtually. I've gone to one in-person coronavirus update press conference that the governor has given since we spoke last, but I didn't ask the governor a question because 5 minutes into his conference, he had to leave because he learned he was exposed to COVID-19. So that was the one he held at Camden County College. So
is that what you think happened? You believe that?
I was there in person, and as far as I could tell, yes.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean,
I think he thought the stench of South Jersey politics was about to penetrate his $6,000 suit. I could be wrong. I don't know. I wasn't there. You were.
Casually took a sip of my coffee.
Stephen Rodas, if you wrote a book about Camden, what would you write a book about?
Yeah, so I'm a big fiction person, if you know me. So I have sort of 2 answers to this. If it was something fiction related, I would want to pick a block in Camden and just focus on characters and how this block evolves throughout a long period of history. I think that would be something that would be good to approach. What block? That would be really hard to decide, and I would rely on lots of people to give me their input. But I think that would be an interesting way to go about it.
Chasing Nars.
Say that again.
Chasing Nars.
Chasing Nars?
Yeah.
Write it down.
Okay.
And then
I can't put my diamond up right now, y'all, but whoever put their diamond up, raise that diamond right now. Thank you. The community gets it. Okay.
And then nonfiction, I think looking at some of the environmental impacts that are ongoing in regard to, all the industry, people concerned about the air quality, people concerned about, food insecurity. I didn't think I would write about microgrids as much as I did, or at all, in 2020. That was a surprise. But I think we produced 3 to 4 stories about that proposal in the Waterfront South, and we had up to like 5 op-eds sent in about that topic.
Right.
So the big topic in 2020. And I think throughout that process, I sort of got a lot more in the know about how much people are concerned about the environment in the city. So I think that would be something that a nonfiction book could help flesh out, for sure.
Very good. Very good. Is there anything I didn't ask you, or anything you want to share?
Trying to think. I mean, I can discuss some of the favorite things that I covered in the last year.
Yeah. All right. What are some of the favorite things you covered in 2020, Stephen Rodas?
Well, one was the Crestberry Apartments.
Oh, Crestberry. Yes, I remember that one. All right, here, let me pull that one up. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm gonna pull it up.
Yeah, I think we wrote 2 or 3 things about that. Are the Crestberry Apartments getting a $24 million facelift? I think that was the first one. That was the first council meeting I went to when that topic came up, multiple times after that. But, I attended a council meeting. The next morning, I drove to the Crestberry Apartments. And, 2 of the 3 first individuals I spoke to were, Hispanic families who otherwise, I think, wouldn't have talked to the press if, it could be because in the moment they were uncomfortable with. Excuse me. Yeah, right. So I believe this was the third thing I wrote about this topic. That was, I think, the last in-person city council meeting before they went virtually. The Crestberry Apartments, long history of hardship, people that saying that they're fed up with the issues there, I think, is such an understatement based on what you speak to the people, the anecdotes you hear about. People have dealt with plumbing issues, people have dealt with garbage pickup issues, just health hazards in general. So I think that was one topic that it's hard to say like it was my favorite, but I think it was for me, one of the most gratifying things to give attention to. And I know I got coverage multiple places. Allende Merrill, Soul Child, when they held their, sort of youth-centered protest from the waterfront south to City Hall. The headline is youth keep momentum going. It was the story that sort of came up a week after Yolanda Deaver's big Black Lives Matter. Yes, but yeah, that's the story. So this was a week after the big the protest that got the most attention in Camden, the Black Lives Matter protest that got the most attention last year. And I felt like this protest, was merited the same amount of attention as that one did. Some of the youth I spoke to were very much cognizant of the fact that they didn't feel like their voices were as prominent as they wanted to during the previous Sunday's event. And so this was their way to get their voices heard. And they continue to hold events, and will continue to after, based on, what I talked to them about. And then toward the end of this past year, the lack of Camden warming centers. I spoke with Gary Samuels about 3 months into my, time arriving in Camden, and he brought this topic up. And so, I believe it's the second story. This was the follow-up of a brief that we wrote after, the city announced that they were going to add a warming center. But essentially, Gary had reached out very early from when I arrived, and I just completely honest to something that I just wasn't able to sort of balance what I had to give the right attention to. Luckily, I was able to at the end of last year, but the fact that the city has worked to, activists in the city have worked to bring attention to the fact that people, when they're cold on these freezing nights where there are cold blues, or even when there aren't cold blues, when it's just cold. Like, it doesn't have to be below 32 to be an uncomfortable night for people to be outside. That there definitely could be more done to give people in the city places to go to, even not just overnight, but during the day as well. Any story that sort of allowed me to tell, to put other people in the spotlight, people that aren't usually, I think for me, was something that I'll always sort of remember when it comes to like my time in Camden. So yeah, it's great.
I know I told you this before, and I'll just say it again, that like the whole concept of this show, Urban Disruptors Weekly Wrap-Up, is to start off with the wrap-up of taking some of the most compelling stories that journalists write, like yourself, and then share those stories with the public and give my own opinion to it. I'm not a journalist. We're not competitors. I know you know that. But I can't do what I'm doing unless you're doing what you're doing. And you can't do what you're doing unless you have a community that's willing to engage and help you get the information that you need. So thank you so much for what you're doing, and I encourage everybody to look at TapInto Camden, follow it, like it on Facebook. You can sign up, follow Stephen Rodas on Twitter. If you know of important issues and topics that deserve media attention, reach out to Stephen. You can look his information up on the website. Any of the links that I put, his phone number and email address are at the bottom of every article. So reach out. It's not that hard. You don't have to have a formal press release to do it. Sometimes just a few sentences can help, as long as you have the basic details of when, where, why it matters. So keep that in mind. Anything else, Stephen?
And it's srodas@tapinto.net if you want to email. If you want a Facebook message, that also works. And if there's a topic that you might not be fully in the know about, but have some inkling that it might be worth an article, even then reach out, because sometimes you never know. And yeah, I appreciate everyone that does. And yeah, thanks a lot, Sean.
All right, I'm gonna talk smack to politicians now. That's how I end my show. So I don't want you to get caught up in all that. As I drink my tea, my tea bag fell in the cup. It's challenging to do this and talk at the same time. Stephen, you're doing great work. I'm proud of you. I want you to continue. I hope you stick around Camden for as long as possible. I know reporters like you get snatched up by bigger publications, so I'm gonna call you out in public and ask you to stick around for as long as you can. Although I'm sure there's more money and bigger opportunities out there for you somewhere, but always remember Camden. I'll be giving you a speech about this at some point when you tell me. My heart's been broken by every journalist that's covered Camden, except for Kevin Shelley. I was glad when he left. All the other ones I thought were great.
I would say, yeah, shout out. I know Phaedra gave me a shout out last week. Shout out to Phaedra. Shout out at the Courier Post. Shout out to April Saul at WHYY. Chris Collins at the Anointed News Journal. He does a lot of work in Camden. So yeah, I want to shout out my fellow reporters too. And have a good 2021. I'm sure we'll talk soon.
All right, you too. See you later.
See you.
Thank you. All right, wasn't that great, everybody? Now, here's the moment that some of you have been waiting for when I give my update. Look, I'm about to tell you about two things. We're going to talk about politics in a second. First, I'm going to tell you about some new money opportunities that are coming up. Please share this video right now. If you put a comment in, it will let you. If you put a comment in, all that engagement will help put this video in more people's boxes. So please share it. I did something I haven't done before. So if you want to come on the show right now and talk to me in the next 15 minutes about what we're talking about, the link is there. You can copy and paste that link into your phone or into any device, including a laptop or computer that has a webcam. And you'll be in the waiting room, and I'll bring you on as long as you're not weird or problematic. That eliminates like half the people right there. But for those that remain, the link is in the comments. It's a StreamYard link, and if you want to come on as a guest, feel free. I'm going to try this out. I don't mind experimenting on my show. With that said, there are some. By the way, thank you, and again, thank you, Stephen Rodas. He's always paying attention to what's going on, and that's appreciated. Oh, I almost forgot. I want y'all to see this real quick. I'm tough on the politicians, as I should be, and that's what they signed up for. But I also like to recognize when they're doing something that's okay, that's good. So our congressional representative is Donald Norcross. He and Representative Kim, who is in the district. Oh, there's George Wilson, who used to write for TapInto. He's a co-byline there, co-author of this story. But anyway, they both are calling out. They're both calling for Donald Trump to be removed from office. Obviously, Donald Trump is problematic, and he probably shouldn't be president. He shouldn't be president. And they called him out. So I'm just letting you know about that. All right. The money. Now, this in the stimulus bill that passed, the stimulus bill that passed not too long ago, there was money that was designated for small businesses. And this week is the week that money will be available. There are plenty of articles on here. I'm going to share one with you right now. I need to put my work hat on for a second. If you are confused, overwhelmed, don't have time to deal with applying for this, hit my business up, the Boyce Douglas Strategies. I will charge you. This is what I do professionally, but my rate is actually super cheap. I'm really good. I've done a lot of research into this, and as long as you meet the criteria, you will very likely get the money. So here's the story. Second Stimulus Act. That's the one that Congress passed at the end of December that President Trump said he wouldn't sign, and then he did sign. It's the same law that allowed many people to get $600. This is the same law that has money set aside for small businesses. If you are a single owner LLC, pay attention. If you are a sole proprietor who has not formally registered your business, pay attention. If you are S corporation, you probably have an accountant or a lawyer that's told you about this already. If you have an accountant or a lawyer that hasn't told you, you should probably find somebody else, because this application is going to open up this week. The money will be available for small businesses this week. So, Second Stimulus Act receives PPP loans. PPP stands for Payment Protection Program, meaning let's protect current people who are currently paid. The government wants them to keep their jobs and wants this money to help support the business, and so they don't have to lay those folks off. There are things that you have to do to get ready. Some of these programs are loans, some are grants. If your revenue is less than $150,000, you're in a low income neighborhood. So your revenue for 2019, 2020, less than $150,000, you're in a low income neighborhood, which includes Camden. You're a minority owned business. You get priority, which starts early this week for applying for money. The way it looks right now, and not all the rules are out. All the application as of yesterday wasn't live, but from what we know right now, your business could qualify for $10,000, which could be a loan that is then transferred into a grant, as long as you can prove what you said in your application with a profit and loss statement or tax returns. Now, if you're lost, if you're a business owner, you don't know what I'm talking about, you need help immediately. And when I say immediately, I mean you need to schedule an appointment with me or someone else that does this work today, because this is going to be the preparation, and the work on this is what's going to be happening this week. This is very important. I'm distracted because I'm looking outside and I see Uncle Joe putting together a bird cage. We have a dove who has made home here at Dare Academy, and we're about to make the dove a pet, apparently, which is actually pretty interesting. There is a funeral repast here, and the bird followed the family and then now lives here. So how special. And I see him with this bird cage. I'm thinking about you, Kenise, and your former dove. Anyway, y'all know I get distracted easily. Get your money. Get your money. Get your ducks in a row. Get help getting your ducks in a row. It's worth it. Tax returns, profit and loss, proof of income, bank account set up, registered with the state, filling out the right paperwork. When you have to upload documents, having them in the right folder to be able to upload them. This is an important task, and you must prepare for it. I will work with whoever, the Camden Small Business Association, Cooper's Ferry, Camden City Government, the freeholders. Everybody should be focused this week and next week on making sure barbershops, barbers, restaurants, small restaurants, food trucks, hair, people that do hair, people that do nails, people in our community who contribute to our economy, who could use a legitimate economic boost. No scam, no scamming, legitimately running a business who have a loss. You should participate. You should apply. Let me know how I can support you or whoever it is. Please. Now, I got to say this. This is a good transition to the next topic of what I want to talk about today. Our city government has a very specific role in economic development. Let me tell you how I know this, just in case you want to question it. Because a few people tell me that they watch this show, they get angry at the things I say, and people start talking to each other. I'm not going to bring anything to your attention that's not based off of facts, of information that I can verify. This is a book. Felix is a frequent viewer of this show. I don't know if he's watching today, but I know Felix is actually going through this training. I have not gone through this training, but I've read the entire manual. Now, these are trade secrets that I'm sharing. But this is a whole book on the idea of community. I don't know. Can y'all see this? Community economic development. Community economic development. And as you can see, the book isn't really that thick. And it's not thick because it's not that hard. It's hard in terms of execution, but in terms of strategizing, in terms of planning, in terms of having the right ideas, saying the right things, putting the right type of people in place, it's actually not that complex. I am a student of community economic development. We are in the middle of a pandemic in the poorest city in America, the lowest credit score. And I'm going to say this week after week. The politicians in our city, although individually could be great people doing good things, as a collective, as a group of people, are insufficient in the contributions that they are making to lifting us up economically in our disadvantaged community. Is the level of poverty, is it your fault? No, it's not your fault. But is the continuation of it a part of your responsibility? It is. And you got to figure this out. So I wanted to share this with you, and I'm being real, I'm being super transparent. I'm not gonna pretend like I came up with all these ideas myself. So here are some of the guiding principles of community economic development. Increase economic multiplier. Promote the concept of buying local for businesses and residents. We should be, local economies work when we are not buying stuff on Amazon or it's being shipped from China or from California, but buying things from our own community. So if I'm looking at this tablecloth, the mic stand, the lamps that we have, the tea, we want to try to buy things from as close as possible. Emphasize local ownership of business and property. LIADA, Camden Small Business Association, Small Business Administration, SCORE, S-C-O-R-E, SCORE. They are all here already. They are here in our community. They're not going to come find you, knock on your door, and beg you to help you. You have to do a little bit of research to find out who they are and how they can help you. Again, I do this professionally. I know all these folks. I can help you as well. You may need me, and I'm glad to help you, but not necessarily. You can figure this out however way you can. Some people go through LIADA, go through their 8-week training, and are out there doing great and doing fine. Some people say, "Oh, no, that's not for me." They want more of a one-on-one thing. That's where I could be helpful. The government and the nonprofit community have a responsibility of supporting us as small business owners and nonprofit leaders and making sure we use all the tools at our disposal to make sure that we're making money and doing what we need to do. So what type of activities should we look forward to? Affordable housing development, small business revolving loan funds, technical assistance and training for small businesses and entrepreneurs, business incubators, commercial district revitalization, micro enterprise development programs. My company is a micro enterprise. I'm a single owner LLC. Social enterprises, job readiness and job training and job placement. These things are happening, but they're not happening enough. Not enough people know about them, and we can do more to expand and exercise community economic development in our city. This must be, if we're going to have a legitimate election for mayor and council in 2021, this must be the core of the conversation. And I don't want to hear a prosperity. I don't want to hear a preacher who's supposed to teach the teaching of Jesus preaching about prosperity from the pulpit. But I want to hear my politician preach it. That's who she needs to be saying it. That I want you in Camden to get rich. I want you to have money in your pocket. I want you to have the highest credit score that you can. By the way, with these loans, according to the regulations, you have to have a credit score over 560 to even qualify. Your personal credit score has to be over 560. If you haven't done this already, if I never told you this, look up John Hope Bryant. I'm giving you all my gems today. John Hope Bryant of Operation Hope. He is the only national level financial advisor that speaks directly to poor and middle class people about how to take nothing and turn it into something, how to take an idea and turn it into a business, how to take a business and turn it into a movement, and how to take a movement and turn it into a revolution, and how to take a revolution and turn it into a new world for us to be in that's better than the one we were born into. There are people out there that preach these things. If all you're listening to on a regular basis is the Baby and Rick Ross and Yo Gotti and Pop Smoke, all right, but you're not going to get it from them. Most of these people, they got their money and either squandered it or spent it well. You got to listen to people who are going to help motivate you, who are going to help encourage you to be the best you can be, and to teach you how to participate in the economy in a way that puts money in your pocket. This is crucial. This is important. So I want to leave that with you. And then one last point. Y'all got me all riled up in here today. But one last point. And the last point I want to make is I just want to continue something I talked about last week. For all the shows leading up to April, I want to focus at least a few minutes on the upcoming election. Last week, I showed you who the committee people were in the Democratic committee, the people whose job it is to select our leaders. I also told you that those committee people are not in position to do their job properly because of the way the rules have been violated. When I say this, if you are a person who's responsible for violating those rules, you're going to watch this and hear this and say, here goes Sean Brown again, and you're going to try to insult me, and you're going to dismiss me, and you're going to talk smack about me in the community. But whoever y'all talking smack to, it comes back to me. And I know what you're saying, and I know who you are, and I know that you feel threatened. And I understand that because you have done so little to help deal with the issues in Camden that anybody that's exposing your inadequacies, you will project your insecurities onto that person who may be me as the urban disruptor and make it seem like I'm the problem. If the problem is defined as your power being threatened, then you are right. I am the problem. But that's not the real problem. The real problem is not enough leaders are doing good enough work to lift up people. They may do individual favors. So you call them up. Hey, councilman. Hey, mayor. Hey, staff person. Can you do X, Y, and Z? And you might get the hookup. But you have to look at this. What about your next door neighbor? What about the lady across the street? What about the person that doesn't have that phone number? What are we doing for them as a community? And how are we selecting leaders who truly care and let them lead? Give them the space and the freedom to think, to explore, to try bad ideas so they can try the good ideas, to ask difficult questions, to deal with the environmental issues that Stephen Rodas talked about earlier in terms of what's going on in South Camden. Shanika is a good example of this. She brings people together. She asks questions. She does the research. People don't think that she's annoying on council or in the administration, yet she still is able to challenge the system. She ran within the system. She ran within the system, but then challenged that system from within it. When the police department did the traffic stop that wasn't good, she was out there saying something about it. And when people tried to kick her back in, she stood strong. Sheila Davis goes out into the community and she hangs out with people. She's concerned with people. She makes calls on behalf of people. Vidkar Starfman, I run into Vidkar Starfman in Camden, including in the 2nd Ward and the surrounding areas. I see him face to face. I'm not picking these names. I'm only telling you the names of people who I see outside of council. That's why I'm saying them. It's not an endorsement, but I like seeing my elected officials in the community. I'll see Elton many places. Clayton, Nye, Namdi, Folio. These are leaders, and they don't go around giving fake platitudes to fake politicians that aren't doing their job properly. You don't hear them going, look at their social media. Listen to the comments they make. They're not here trying to make these people who aren't doing anything seem like they're better than they are to feed their egos. And you people, you know who you are. You go to work every day thinking that you're doing the best for the people of Camden. Look at the drug addiction issues in our city. Look at them. What have you done about that? Narcan? Come on. There are books, there are guides of what good community economic development is. And it's not just about what PBCIP is doing in Parkside. It's not just about what Heart of Camden is doing in South Camden. It's more to it than that. Some of these neighborhoods have no representation, have no leadership. I live in East Camden now. I could not even begin to tell you what Marilyn Torres stands on any issue. What she cares about, what she advocates for. I don't know. And it's not like I don't pay attention. I do my research. I go to meetings. I read. We need better politicians and better politics in Camden. The committee structure is a good place to start, and this is the month to do it. Next week, I'm going to get into the bylaws and tell you what their rules are. I had a chance to look at them yesterday, and from the little I looked at, there are meetings and there are required meetings that the committee people are supposed to have before and after elections, which makes sense. Do they have those meetings? No. We cannot accept a structure where George Norcross is treated as a benevolent dictator and we all just bow down and accept it as we try to figure out what our role is in it. Now, I'm not saying he's a benevolent dictator. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying we shouldn't treat him as that either. He is the chairman of Cooper Hospital and the leader of a company that's an insurance brokerage firm. An important role in our community. He runs a company. He's the chairman of a hospital, an important hospital. But he's not important than anybody else. Neither is Frank Moran. Neither is Angel or Curtis. These are men, older men. Now, I want to share something with you that I read the other day from one of a person I follow on Twitter and Facebook. He wrote this about Philadelphia politics. And I read this last night, what he wrote, and I'm like, what he's saying about Philadelphia politics, it doesn't 100% fit into Camden. But it fits enough. How many times this guy put stuff on Facebook? Hold on, let me pull it up because I took a screenshot. Bear with me, y'all. It's cold in here too. Okay, here it is. So, oh, it's on Instagram. That's why I'm not seeing it. Okay, let me go to Instagram so you guys can see this. Instagram looks weird on the computer, but you can pull it up. So Ernest Owens is a journalist in Philadelphia. He covers politics. He is vicious in his approach. He and I have some things in common, but we also have a few things, different approaches. But nonetheless, I think what he wrote here is so compelling that I want to share it. Okay, here it is. All right, good. All right, I'm gonna do a screen share here, and then I want to hear your comments on this because I think this is very important. Again, he's talking about Philly, but this applies to Camden. You're gonna see why in a second. All right, so this is gonna take a few minutes, and then we'll be out of here. So, for context, people look at Stacy Abrams and what she was able to do in Georgia. So Stacy Abrams is the former leader in the state legislature there. She organized people for years in rural communities and cities and the suburbs for people to get out and vote for Democrats and turned a red state to a blue state, including with the winning of Warnock and Ossoff a few days ago. So now people are like, oh, well, everything that Stacy Abrams did in Georgia is easily transferable to Philadelphia, to this place, to that place. I talked to a friend who thinks that what Stacy Abrams done could be duplicated in Camden. So he says why it can't happen in Philly. And let me compare and say why I don't think it can happen in Camden, why I agree with him. So Ernest Owen says, cut that bleep out. These Philly politicos are looking at Georgia and trying to act like Pennsylvania can pull such black electoral moves off. Do y'all really want this drag this morning? There's so much to laugh at right now. So I'm just going to give you a little quick list of why that can't happen until you do the following. So this is saying that if you want to see more young people turn out, if you want to have the next mayor elected with more than just 15% of the vote, which is what he's elected with, or she may be elected with, this is what you have to do. So he says, so I'm just going to give you all a quick list of why that can't happen until you do the following. 1, make Bob Brady resign. So Bob Brady is their kind of version of a political boss, and he's elected to Congress there, but he does the bare minimum in Congress, but he's a political boss, and he gets in the way of a lot of things. So now we can say in Camden, who needs to go? We know who needs to go. It's the people. Oh, I was about to curse. It's the people that aren't doing anything but promoting themselves. And by the way, I'm looking at you because I hear you trying to throw your name back in, and that ain't happening on my watch. You are not running for mayor, Whip. You will not. If I make this the Urban Disruptors Weekly Wrap Up, Whip Wilson won't run for mayor show, then that's what it will be. Anyway, number 2. You're not even a decent sheriff. You aren't a decent assemblyman. You aren't a decent councilman. The last thing that you do that anybody compliments is you are a good basketball coach. You think you're about to be the mayor? No, you're not. I got the receipts with it. Just letting you know. Number 2, punish grifting ward leaders. So we don't have ward leaders as strong in the New Jersey structure or in Camden as they do in Philadelphia, but we do have election districts and wards. And you have certain folks who are considered the leaders of those areas. Ali Slonell in the 2nd ward is a great example. Ali, you don't know what side he's going to be on in any given election, right? Let me move on. Number 3, crack down on political nepotism. Huge. Oh, that's my cousin. That's my cousin. Oh, hold up a sec. Here, let me see real quick. Oh, you got that sucker in there. He needs a bigger cage.
Oh my goodness, he does.
Look at this. Look at this, guys. Oh here. Here. Can you bring it closer to me?
No, I'm not going to come
Don't be scared.
I don't want him pecking the top.
All
right, Lady T, here. Get the top, Lady T. Go. Here. Look at this new friend we have here. Look at that, guys. Look at that. Breaking news.
Say, hey, life. This is our pigeon of protection, right?
You're a big dog. You must be a male.
The big one is a female. Don't say it's a female.
Well, I don't know. I don't know enough about birds. I stopped messing with birds a long time ago. All right, so getting back to it. Crack down on political nepotism. And crony, I would add to that cronyism. Nepotism is when you're hiring your family. Cronyism is you're hiring your friends. I heard. I don't want to be mean. I won't say his name, but a person that was just elected to the school board made a speech the other day and started naming people, thanking people. And like I'm listening to some of the names that he's thanking. I'm like, what do these people do to contribute to anything related to public education? What do these people do? Anything to make the lives of students better, families better, education better? They do nothing. You know what they do? They know what 40 people in their neighborhood will vote for the Democratic Party without asking any questions. That's all they contribute. And is that really what we need to diminish our politics to? Just winning for the sake of winning for the sake of ego, winning because your wife doesn't love you. Your wife doesn't love you. Your kids don't answer your phone calls anymore. You need validation. Oh, so let me run for office and win and then do nothing, and I'll be validated in that. And end up being a figure for an inept system. That's not what we need to do. Next, number 4, stop making people wait their turn. Who are you to tell somebody to wait their turn? Oh, I had to wait for 20 years. You know why you waited? Because the people that were there before you were doing good work. Jarethia Riggs, Alethea Wright, Poppy Sharp. We have people in the 70s and 80s that were kicking butt, challenging the system. Rosemary Jackson. Names of people who were working, who understood how systems work, who were team builders, who understood the intersection between the nonprofit and political world and how to navigate that to create change. We have a younger generation, people my age and younger, that are all for it. But a lot of these older people, wait your turn. Wait your turn. You need to go. Oh my God. Wait your turn. Next, embrace young leaders, which is right connected, I would say, to number 4. Embrace young leaders. I was a young leader, and I don't know if embrace would be the word, but I talked to Novella Henson about this last year. I asked her, I said, when I was on the school board, especially in the beginning, I made a few mistakes and you never said anything to me about it. I know you think I made a mistake, Ms. Henson, because you went and told 10 other people about it, but you never confronted or said anything to me. Why didn't you say anything, Ms. Henson? And Ms. Henson said, well, Sean, I didn't say anything to you because I didn't think you would listen. Oh, you didn't think I would listen, but you never gave me a chance. Because I do listen to criticism. I try not to get defensive when people criticize me. And even if I do get defensive, it's a part of the process sometimes when you critique. But if you're going to put a young leader, Felicia Reyes Morton is a good example because of how her age when she was appointed to the school board. If you're going to put somebody young in a position, you should also understand that they're going to try to spread their wings their own way. And not to say that you should confine them, but you should certainly talk to them, give them feedback, give them the safety of knowing that we're going to put you in this position. We're also going to support you in it. You got some people on the planning board, the zoning board, some of these boards that have to be awakened before the vote. Where somebody has to go, oh yeah, it's time to vote, huh? Oh yeah, yes. All right, can I go back to sleep now? But when you have leadership who only cares about loyalty, who only cares about the yes vote, and that's what you get. And is this yes vote? Are these always good ideas? No, they're not. All right, let me move on. Lifelong incumbents stepping down. Certain folks, Mayor Morant, I can't help it. I got to say you, because you're the first person I'm thinking of here. Angel, you're right there too. Y'all been elected office since the 90s. Number one, that's not what our United States Constitution and our design of government was not designed for people to be lifelong politicians. I don't like it in Nancy Pelosi, and I don't like it in Camden. If you have been elected to office since the 90s, and this is the way Camden looks, this is not a compliment to your leadership. It's not. How could it be? You're not up for the job. If you've been doing this for 30 years, and these are the results, you are, or 20, let me do my math correctly, 25 years, and these are the results, you're not up for the job. You're not up for the job. And I'm not saying it's creating division, but Shanika's done more in a year than a lot of you people have done in 20 years. And I've been paying attention for 20 years. So I'm in great position to say that. If you're watching this right now, right, and you pay attention to this show, but you read the news, you go to meetings, maybe you're elected, you're appointed, you've been involved, tell me of an accomplishment of Angel Fuentes. And don't tell me, oh, he goes to meetings. Don't tell me he calls people back, because those aren't accomplishments. Those are personality tactics. What has he done? What has he done for community economic development? What? Oh, okay, maybe he did it and I just don't know about it. Maybe I missed that meeting. Maybe I didn't read that article. Send it to me. Email it to me. Text me. What did Frank Moran do on council? What? What was the initiative that he did? What was it? And I can say, I can name a lot of them. What did they do? Being in office for a long time is not a compliment. It's only a compliment if you have a lot of stuff that you've been able to do, and you've developed leaders and you've resolved certain issues. That's when it's a positive thing. Let me move on. Support local Black journalists. I'm not a journalist, but I can certainly use support. And when Ernest writes support local Black journalists, that means give interviews, give them opportunities to write in the space it is, give them exclusive things. Call out political corruption. I am the urban disruptor. I'm all about calling out political corruption. But Ernest is arguing here that we can't have a mass group of people voting until we call out political corruption. The number one form of political corruption to call out, which I've done in this show, in previous episodes is where these politicians get their money from. These folks that run for office in Camden within the party system do not get their money from people from Camden. They don't even get their money from wealthy people in the suburbs. They get their money from other candidates who are donating money to them, a part of a system. And I'm all for systems. I'm all for squads and coalitions. I like the fact that my councilman, mayor, state assembly person, state senator are all know each other and look at each other as being on the same team. That is a positive thing. And this is something that the opposition, so-called opposition, should learn from because they're so fragmented. Too fragmented to form a coalition that is an actual threat to the current establishment. When I call out political corruption, it's not because I don't like you. It's not because I want to see you fail. It's because I want to see you be better so our community is better. And following the money is an old school tactic of how to identify where corruption is. He who pays the piper calls the tune. And I don't like the melody right now. Number 9, stop pay-for-play committee nominations. That's more of a Philly thing. But pay-to-play in Canada is not much of it. It is a thing, but for a lot of the committee stuff, you actually have to be a resident. So in Camden, a lot of people that donate don't live in Camden. Different issue. And number 10, listen to community activists and organizers. I said this last week, and I'm going to say it again. Whether it's Kelly Francis, Mangaliso Davis, Vida Neal, Monique Ragsdale, Gary Frazier, Cornell Garnett. Some of the names, one or two of the names of people I just said, these are people I don't even like. I don't like them. I like their personalities. I don't like the way they talk to me. They've never been really nice to me. I don't necessarily see their contributions. But everybody deserves to be heard. Every name I just said, I can tell you exactly what their positions are on at least one issue because I listen to what they say. And I try to listen with understanding. We must listen to activists and organizers. Now, in organizers, you have Faith in New Jersey, Institute for Social Justice, Daquan's group, Daquan Washington's group. I'm missing a group, but there are organizers, not activists, because activists kind of can act alone. Organizers who work with the team to say this is a step-by-step process that we should have to make our community better, right? We got to listen to these people, what they say about environmental issues, what they say about public safety, because the current group of politicians, their ideas aren't good enough. Whatever it is they thought up isn't good enough to penetrate and to make the type of change that we need to see in our community. So, Ernest, thank you for what you wrote. I agree with it. I think it's a good point. And to the audience, thank you for tuning in today. We have some comments. What do you think about the Greenwood Bank? I don't know about the Greenwood Bank. I'd have to look into that. You know what that is? Okay. I don't know, but I know this. I know that the heaters are in this room, but I'm still cold and I'm a little hungry. So with that said, listen, I will get better. This show will get better every episode. We might be traveling. I'm not sure yet. I might go down to the inauguration. I'm still figuring that out. There's some safety concerns, but we'll figure that out. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching this on a rebroadcast. Eventually, this will be on a podcast version. So thank you for listening. If you're listening as well, take care of yourselves. Take care of your families. Contact me if I'm saying anything that you love. Let me know. If I'm saying anything you think I'm getting wrong, also let me know. I'm really good at keeping secrets. I am. If I wanted this show to be a political gossip show, it easily could. I have plenty of information, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for us to be lifted, for us to get better so that our community is better. So thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Have a great week, a great January, a great 2021. Be in peace. See you later. Until next time.